Hello, my students. I'm Shmelis. Today I will start teaching grade 9 new history textbook. This student textbook has 9 units. The first unit is about the discipline of history and human evolution. Unit 2 is about ancient world civilization up to 500 AD. Unit 3 is about peoples and states in Ethiopia and the Horn to the end of 13th century. Unit 4 is about the Middle Ages and early modern world. Unit 5 is about peoples and states of Africa to 1500 AD. Unit 6 is about Africa and outside world from 1500 to 1800 AD. Unit 7 is about states, principalities, movements, and interaction in Ethiopia in the 13th to mid 16th century. Unit 8, political, social, and economic process in Ethiopia mid 16th to 19th century. The last unit, that means Unit 9, is about the Age of Revolution from 1750s to 1850s. Dear learners, this textbook it was designed based on Ethiopian history, African history, and world history. So today we we are going to start Unit 1. This is about the discipline of history, human evolution. Dear my learners, before we are going to learn this topic, please don't forget subscribe, like, and share to get more recent history lessons. One of the first subtopic is about meaning of prehistory and history. So, history as a body of knowledge is an account of the past based on historical facts and evidence. This is the most important definitions of history. This from the definition we are going to look. There are different concepts. For instance, history it is related to facts and evidence. Means historical writing it must be fact based on evidence. So this historical evidence most of the time it arises from historical sources. So history it must be studied based on evidences, whereas prehistory was the time before people developed the art of writing. So the main difference between history and prehistory is the beginning of the art of writing. Before the beginning of the art of writing is prehistory, whereas after the beginning of the art of writing, in which human beings recorded their history, is known as history. Uh, Archaeologists and anthropologists, these two sciences played a great role in understanding the prehistoric human events. And historical facts refers to the proven fact, whereas opinion is about the writer's beliefs. History is all about in providing an interpretation, or it asks and answers the WH questions. For instance, what happened, why it happened, and how it happened, or sometimes what consequences did it have. These are the concerns of history. Thus, history is not an opinion or novel writing, but history based upon evidences. On the other hand, opinion is what a writer believes based on his or her viewpoints. The second very important lesson is about the importance of history. History as a subject has different importance. This was the most important advantage or importance of history. It could be it helps us to past events and understand the present situations. And sometimes history also helps us to forecast some uh, future developments. It also helps us to understand national and international issues, including democratic principles and nationalism. As you remember, different historical events were helped the development of democracy, like American War of Independence, the English bourgeoisie revolution, and the French Revolution could be a typical event which helped for the development of democracy and the principles of democracy. History can also help us to develop the necessary skills of collecting and analyzing information. Why history is based upon rigorous study. So it helps us to broaden our thinking horizons. The third very important aspect of history is historiography and historical interpretation. Dear my learner, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this program. Historiography. What is historiography? Historiography is a subject that studies how knowledge of the past attained and transmit, and sometimes historiography could be a history of historical writing. So, the world's oldest written history it comes from China. However, the most important nations which contributed for the beginning of historical writing was ancient Greek. As it was known, ancient Greek, it was the birthplace of Western civilization. So it is historians like Herodotus and Thucydides contributed a great deal. For instance, Herodotus is considered as the father of history, and he was the first person to use the term history. Whereas Thucydides, another historian, he started critical and accurate history writing, and of course, he introduced the organized study and narration of the past. But modern history is emerged as an academic discipline in the second half of 19th century, first in Europe, particularly in German. A German historian, Leopold von Ranke, he introduced history as a discipline, a separate subject, and it was begun to given in the school during this period. Ranke is considered as the father of modern historiography. Ethiopia had also its own indigenous historical writing. This it could be like the Chronicle of Ethiopia. Chronicle writing it's started since the 14th century and ended in the 20th century. And it was a base for the writing of Ethiopian history. uh, it made some changes from the chronicle tradition in the early 20th century. However, modern type of historical study, it was started in the 1960s. When I say 1960s, in 1963, at Addis Ababa University, the Institute of Ethiopian Study was opened. After these institutions, its work, it's a research work, the modern type of Ethiopian historical writing, it was developed since this period. The next issue is historical interpretation. What is historical interpretation means? Any historians or history student before using primary, secondary, or oral tradition, he must interpret his sources in order to avoid misunderstanding of the historical writing. So we base our interpretation on primary or secondary sources. So any historical study, it follows some descriptions, analyze, and evaluation of our sources. So these are what we call historical interpretation. What the sources say means interpretation of the source. So, dear my learners, it is enough for today's discussion, and in the coming period, we are going to